Hello. How's everyone doing this evening? We're gonna get started here in just a moment. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Alright, let's see.
At least not to us.
Hello?
Yeah, okay, so I'm looking at 3 different Taphouse restaurants. 2 of them spell it Tap Space House, and the other one is Taphouse, one word.
Oh boy.
This is what we spend our time on before fucking everything
The
starts.
majority spell it Tap Space House.
Tap
Yeah.
space. Whoa, why is that all fucked?
Nice, dude.
Oh god.
We're okay
What
though, right?
the heck?
This is what we've paid
What
for.
the heck? What happened? It was fine earlier.
Creation got defaced.
Shut it down. We're done.
Steve's head's too big for his overlay.
Wait, if I pop my head over here or over here, I think
this
they
way
can
and
see
be on
me.
like Cody's thing. Hold on.
Okay, hold on.
How do you manage?
I don't know what happened. It was just like
We'll fix it in post. Just keep rolling with it. We'll fix it in post.
Can't fix this in post. Hello.
This is the
Okay. Hi everyone. We're having some technical difficulties.
Hey, Ranger looks great. I'm just
Fuck
saying.
you, James.
So we're having some technical difficulties. Hang on, just 1 second. Yeah. So why I fix our technical difficulties? What has everybody been up to over the week?
Oh no, we're not. We're gonna restart this whole fucking thing. We're not starting it like this. Not with this scuffy shit. Shut it down.
Not like this.
It's okay. We can edit it in post. Why is your head so big?
I don't know. What did you fucking do?
I didn't do anything.
You definitely did, because my head is not that big.
Is this better sales?
Boy,
Guys,
it's almost like,
we gotta get
I
that
legit
back.
don't know what happened because it was fine a minute ago.
oh boy.
Okay, hang on. Go this way.
Mom, if you can hear me, I think I made it.
Cody, just scale it. Like,
That's what
are
I'm
you-
doing. Well, I have to crop it first and then scale it. So.
oh my god. Good enough.
All right, we're
There we
good.
go.
Hi, friends. Hi.
Can you save this before we get started? Go back to the other screen, put like a 10-second timer on it. Let's start this over.
No, because I don't know if I swap screens again if it's gonna absolutely bork everything once
the problem
again.
is you're gonna
So.
swap screens anyway.
All
Alright, whatever. Starting like crap.
Yeah, I think I have James maxed. Yeah, I have James maxed.
Yeah, I've got all my volume turned up to max. Can't get any louder.
All right, so that's not even close to how I spell my name. Out of 4 letters, he got 2 wrong.
What is this?
Solid 50%.
KODI. We made the effort.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, how's everyone doing? How's your week been?
This fucking sucks.
Terrible.
What's everyone been up to? What have we been playing? What have we been doing to just, keep ourselves entertained until either pre-patch or Shadowlands launch?
Been doing stuff
my-
on beta, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we will get to that later, absolutely. Mike?
All right, so I've been playing WoW. Surprisingly, I've been actually PvPing because with the PvP or with a pre-patch coming soon, TM. I've been trying to grind out the rest of my PvP mount, which I still haven't gotten the Vicious White War Saber. So I've been doing quite a bit of that, and other than that, I've just been playing a lot of other games. I'm just kind of chilling. Like I don't really have a strong desire to play WoW at the moment until pre-patch, and really until Shadowlands comes out. So I've been playing other games. I've been playing Bioshock. I finally finished Pokemon Shield. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh god. Ugh.
Figured it's almost been out for a year. I should probably finish it up.
I have a bunch of games
Which
like
one
that.
did you pick as your starter?
Sobble, the water one.
The water one. Okay. I picked the little rabbit. I think the fire bunny.
Mm.
Fucking
That's not too
nerds.
Steve, what have we been up to this week?
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing.
Trying to get Steve beta.
I've literally
been-
been watching more beta key giveaways than I've actually been playing the game because this is a fantastic system we're in.
And have you gotten a key yet? It's the big question. We'll take that as a no.
Just move on.
The lack of silence is telling.
Okay, so the one out of the four of us that actually has beta.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Can I kick him out of this call?
I know.
Like, can do that or would it fuck everything up?
No.
Dude, I know I'm the.
I know you've been doing a bunch of beta this week.
I've been doing like almost too much beta. I am baited out, but yes, I've been doing a lot of testing, mostly DPS. I didn't test any tanks or healers. Tested a lot of Frost Mage. That was a lot of fun, but I made the mistake of changing my covenants because I wanted to try all the abilities, and I didn't think they actually had the penalty in the game right now, and try to go back to Kyrian, and yeah, I'm still in the process of doing that.
So
their words were they're considering taking me back and check back later to see if they've accepted me. So every day I check.
I'm pretty sure
you're doing
like
the
that doesn't
2-week
happen
thing.
until I thought that doesn't happen until weekly reset. That you
The only thing I could find on it, it's already been a weekly reset and it hasn't changed. The developers, there was a Wowhead article where they said they're not sure yet, but 1 to 2 weeks is what they think. So that's what I'm assuming it's
per covenant change.
To go back to a covenant you've already.
Oh, to go back to okay.
Yeah, so that's gonna be a really big thing. It's a steep penalty because 2 weeks in game is a long time.
Yeah, it is.
So you just got to be sure, and with the amount of changes I think they're going to be making the covenants to try to balance them, it's risky to change. Live.
So we'll get more into your beta testing in a little bit, but like, so going back between covenants, are you just like, do you not have a covenant right now, or are you still part of the one that you're trying to leave at the moment?
I'm still with Night Fae, so I still have the Night Fae abilities, but I was Venthyr before Night Fae, so what happened is it's bugged, and my Soulbind still says Venthyr, so I can't actually...
Okay.
I don't have any Soulbinds.
So
it's hard to really...
Nice.
Yeah, I have none. None.
With a major system in the game, yes, you do not have.
Shocker, the Night Fae questline is bugged, and you can't get the Soulbinds.
Oh,
I'm sorry. So are you sure this isn't just a feature in the game, or?
I mean, right now the way to get Soulbinds, some of them do work. Like you can get Pelagos through questing with the Kyrian, which is really cool because you fight against Uther. Spoiler.
Whoa! Don't drop.
Wow.
What the fuck?
He's much darker, by the way. Now he's like got a black glow to him now. It's kind of cool. But anyway, so, yeah. So the Kyrian ones are done, but the way you do it is you bug it out. So you go and buy it from the little beta vendor, and then you go to your Soulforge and right-click it, and it'll unlock a Soulbind for you.
Okay.
But it won't be that way in live, obviously.
Right.
So that's the way we do it. But currently, I cannot test any Soulbinds on my mage.
It's really interesting. I mean, we're in 2 days we'll be like exactly a month away from launch, and
like 4 weeks.
They still have those sort of bugs to work out.
I mean, technically tomorrow, because in the US we get it on the 26th. Right. Remember? So we're technically a month away from launch. So
And not only do we need
Shadowlands open beta for everybody on the 26th of October.
They don't only need to fix bugs, but they actually have to balance covenants, and they still have to do class tuning this week, I think, or next. There's a lot of work to be done.
So it looks like Zazu in chat saying there are rumors starting to float around of them pushing launch back, which
I would love that.
Well, I think right now kind of everyone's in agreement. Like it needs something needs to happen. Either they need to get their shit together and get it together quickly with everything that they need to fix, or they need to push it back. There needs to be something.
Well, I think most of us picked November, right? When we guessed. What was your guys' guesses on that?
I was definitely thinking like November, December.
I was thinking 24th, week of the 24th, because I wanted a birthday.
Of November?
Yeah, I'm selfish.
I was thinking a little bit earlier, like early.
No, fuck you, birthday launch.
Just like so Blizzard said before, they don't have to schedule raid around holidays and all that. So just like things.
Yeah, Mike, you're super roboty right now. You're lagging hard.
Your opinion doesn't matter. Come back in a moment. Okay, you're good again.
Am I good now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Go ahead, take a big swing.
I was just thinking. I was saying that I was thinking like early to mid-November, because I know Blizzard said they don't like to schedule raid tiers around the holidays.
Doesn't matter at this point. Like they need to do something. Here's what they need to do. They need to push a massive, and I mean a massive patch to beta, which squashes probably a good 70% of the bugs that are out there, to put people at least at ease for what's going on. Like they need to fully open all of the stuff back up. They need to push something huge out that doesn't break everything and fixes most of the breaks, and get the game running for even a chance for the launch on the 26th. And they got to do that probably within the next week or two.
Yeah, there's the world quests that are bugged too.
There's a lot. I've been watching a lot of beta, and there's a ton of stuff, and like they're not just small bugs, like they're major things and major systems that aren't working right now.
Yeah. I'm actually more surprised now when something works on the beta, when I can actually complete a quest chain. I'm like, holy shit!
And we're only a month away from launch. Yeah. That's a really bad feeling.
Here's the good news, right? Is they're doing a lot of raid testing. They're still doing it, and they're still changing and iterating on some of the bosses. But from what I can tell, the iterations on the bosses that are changing are going well. We know Torghast is fine. Torghast hasn't been broken for a while. They've fixed it relatively quickly to the point where they took it down, and now they're brought it back up to test the group scaling, and then they'll probably take it down again and just finalize it in another build.
Yeah, it's pretty limited, but it was fun. I went in there and did it on a few tunes. Torghast was my first time.
I mean, I guess one of the things that does give me a little bit of hope, and we'll get more into this later, but is the massive amount of like covenant balance changes and stuff that we did get this week.
Those helped.
Like those helped a lot. So if we get stuff like that every week over the course of the next couple weeks, but the big thing is still just the bugs and major systems not working.
I mean, go ahead, James.
Well, I was just gonna say, even when they fix, like even when they come out with the new covenant changes, there's new bugs with those covenants.
Right.
And so it's just like, I commend them. They're doing a lot of work. They're trying, but the systems that they've put in place, when you do fix something, unfortunately, there's always a side effect that they didn't see.
Oh, absolutely.
Side effect or a bug.
It took them a day and a half to fix the Night Fade bug, right, for hunters? The one they pushed the Night Fade change for hunters, or is that still broken right now?
I haven't tested it to see if it's still broken, but it was broken when I tested it like yesterday or the day before. Yeah.
Yeah,
it was broken on every rapid fire and barrage tick.
Yeah, but they made a post saying that they fixed it or whatever, I thought. So that's
I haven't been on today, so it's possible.
Yeah, from what I've seen, they said they fixed that.
Okay, so let's touch on a couple small things here, and then we'll get back to this whole conversation about the the state of beta and everything so far. So Mythic Plus pre-patch scaling it's gonna nerf how everything scales in Mythic Plus once pre-patch launches.
Yep. All health and damage scaling are going to go down to, I think it's like for a 15, it's like a 165% from where it is like a 310 or something now. Like it's basically being cut in half because they're taking corruption away.
Oh, you're talking live pre-patch?
Live pre-patch is cutting all Mythic Plus scaling because you're losing all the power from corruption and
stuff.
stuff.
I figured that would happen. They need to.
Yeah, I mean,
with corruption. I was gonna say, with corruption being so much of our damage, so much of our output, they kind of have to. Otherwise, like 15s would become like 20 pluses, even more so. I think even. My
curiosity is, what are they gonna do to the raid scaling at this point?
Yeah.
Because I'm wondering if we're gonna step into Mythic and just get absolutely trounced.
I think it's either going to be too hard or it's going to be just face roll easy.
I mean, it's going to be one or the other, right? It's going to be either way overtuned and you're not going to be able to do absolutely anything, or you're going to walk in there and it's going to just absolutely fall over in a matter of seconds.
I mean, you think about it, you're cutting Mythic Plus scaling in half. Let's be honest, a 15 is nowhere close to like Mythic rating level. So if you're cutting that in half, they're gonna have to do major back end tuning on rating itself. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's gonna feel
no
weird.
Reason not to. Like, there's no more cutting edge, right? There's no more real anything achievement wise. Why not make it just easy so people can test their new builds?
Yeah.
I mean, I think I was watching Tally the other day, and he basically said like what they should do for the raid, as he put it, is give it the old ICC treatment when pre-patch comes. Is basically just give that buff that like you got every week in ICC that like increase your damage and everything. Just give that buff flat out once pre-patch hits, like 40% more damage or whatever it's going to be going into it. That way it kind of balances out the scaling. You can go in, you can test all your new builds and stuff, because you're not going in for, to get your first Mythic boss kill on something. You're really going in to see how your new build and new class changes and stuff
how big it
feels in raid.
Yeah, because that buff in ICC was, I believe, health, damage, and healing, which is basically, I mean, the problem with doing that is, I guess at that point you still wouldn't get the feel for it. If anything, I could see them doing what they did in like Mists, where they debuffed the mobs, reducing their health, damage dealt kind of deal. Though that would be something that I could see them doing, is putting it like on the mobs themselves.
Just put a reverse tyrannical on the bosses.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see like during Legion pre-patch wasn't a few classes like especially broken, and didn't people face roll through that? I feel like
a lot of people did.
Not Legion pre-patch, BFA.
I mean, we have people in guild that tested PTR pre-patch, and they're walking into 22s as DPS and handling mobs in 22s. So I don't know.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Yeah, so a little touch on just that came out. And then, so we did get some interesting news over the weekend. This isn't directly related to WoW, but more of just like game development as a whole. Mike Morhaime, who obviously stepped down from Blizzard back in 2018, has opened a new game development studio called Dreamhaven.
Correction, he didn't step down, he was forced out, basically.
Well,
we're not allowed to say that, according
right
to Activision overlords. We all really know what happened,
for sure. So they have 2 studios currently, and within both of the studios there are some very big Blizzard alum. So the first one is Moonshot Games. You have Jason Chase, who it didn't really say kind of what he really worked on, but he had like a good 11-year stint at Blizzard, probably worked on a bunch of different things and different roles. I I think two of the biggest ones are Dustin Browder, who was the game director for StarCraft 2 and Heroes of the Storm, but also has noted in other games as well, like the Command and Conquer series, Lord of the Rings. And then you have Ben Thompson, who was the creative and art director for Hearthstone and also has ties to working on Dungeons and Dragons and Magic the Gathering. So those are your three leads for Moonshot.
Yeah, it looks like they're still hiring. I'm on their page. They're looking for a concept artist, a lead platform engineer, a gameplay engineer, and a 3D generalist.
I mean, they got names that heavily are rooted, I want to say, in RPG and a lot of RPG type, or not RPG, but turn-based or RPG games. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, or like big names rooted in like turn-based RTS style games.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what comes out of that. And then their second studio that they have is Secret Door, who your three leads on that one, from what I could find, would be Chris Siggety, who spent almost 24 years with Blizzard, which is a very long time. He worked as executive producer on Hearthstone, StarCraft 2, and Heroes of the Storm. You know, we're slowly realizing why Heroes of the Storm completely died out, because everyone that worked on the game left.
Yeah, they left or they were moved to other projects, or
they just lost funding. Like, they lost the backing of Activision.
They have a real young guy working on it now. That's beside the point.
And then he was also the lead producer in this. This is the big word here. Original Warcraft 3. The lead producer for the original Warcraft 3, not the reforged fiasco that we just dealt with a couple months ago.
Move on. We don't talk about that. We don't give it any kind of screen time.
Then you also
I miss my meat wagon, dude.
And then you also have Alan DeBerry, who served as technical and game director just on like a bunch of different games and projects and stuff like that. Also worked on, again, Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, Heroes of the Storm. So again, it all goes back to the very RTS-rooted, turn-based, kind of MOBA style.
Yeah, MOBA.
And then you have multiplayer games, yeah. But then you have Eric Dodds, who was game director for Hearthstone, a veteran game designer for WoW and StarCraft. So he's the only one out of the leads that I saw any mention of like World of Warcraft.
Yeah, there's not too many, right? It's mostly MOBAs, RTS, and a lot of Hearthstone. So I'd be shocked if they didn't develop an RTS.
Yeah, and then
games.
And then the Steve will have more background on this one because he's the one that originally brought it up to me. Is Kate Welsh, who's not from Blizzard, but she has some very major ties to the Dungeons and Dragon universe and RPG.
Yeah, she is one of the lead and has been one of the leads on like the latest 4 rounds of RPGs that came out that Wizards of the Coast has released. Like, she was one of the main directive leads on the Fires of Avernus, or the Flames of Avernus, or whatever that book was. And like, she is very heavily rooted RPG wise. Yeah, that's why I think there's going to be a big RPG element into whatever it is that they're going to make. When you have some people working on it, like from Warcraft 3 and WoW, and like, you're gonna see a name like Kate Walsh put a big aspect to story into whatever it is that's going on.
Yeah, they advertise themselves as board, role-playing, and video game nerds.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, very D&D, very RPG-centric.
Very story-driven.
Yep.
So it's like you kind of have the two different teams, right? You kind of have your teams that are on the RTS side a lot, and then it seems like the Secret Door team is kind of leaning a little more towards the RPG, like, story element style stuff. Which, I mean, the RTS games do have some story stuff to them, but they're not as big as like some of the main RPGs that you'd see.
Yeah, just looking at their website, their main page, you see that their main Morheim talked about their lighthouse being their main logo, and it just gives me Kieran Tor vibes from Dalaran just looking at it, and it's so bright. You've got like the ships in the sky flying around it. It's very Warcraft like RTS.
Well, like the airships and stuff too. That's very Eberron-esque from D&D, which is very cool. Like it looks very steampunky, very mechanical, very heavily rooted in fantasy. Yeah, they got
like futuristic spaceships. It's awesome looking. It's really cool.
Can I just say, like, I'm super excited. Like,
oh yeah,
I was ecstatic when this news came out. Like, anything they put out, I'm gonna play it. Like,
for sure. Like, obviously,
I'm so excited.
Obviously, it's gonna be a while before we get anything from them, but still, it's whatever it's gonna be. You can almost guarantee that it's gonna be good.
Yeah, we're gonna have to be patient. It's gonna be 5 years before we.
It's gonna take time.
Yeah. It's gonna take time, but it's gonna be worth the wait.
My fear with them right now is it is such a team that is built so small at the moment. That's not saying it can't get bigger, but it's such a small team with so many other people working on different projects. Like, I'd imagine Kate Walsh is going to be splitting her time between Wizards and this group. My fear is if they wait the 5 years or whatever it is to push out whatever it is, they may fall within that window of next gen tech updates, and they may be a cycle behind where they need to be. That's where my fear is. So I'd like to see them start announcing something probably in 3, not so much 5.
True. Yeah, I could definitely see something within like the 3 years. At least something maybe towards the smaller side of the games, but at least something.
You think they would do like a small mobile game, like a little?
No.
They do like a baby RTS beta type thing, where it's like, this is the game we're working on, and this is how it's going to lay out. Like, you may start to see hints and breadcrumbs of it along the way. I don't think this group is going to be like, let's build a mobile game, Raid Shadow Legends.
They could could crank something out like a team fight tactics type game pretty quick, I would think.
They could.
In several years.
The other thought I just had too, because it's kind of been blowing up on Twitch here in the last week or so with its big release, but something along the lines of like Hades, kind of that. Not necessarily.
I thought you were gonna go more Among Us than Hades.
No, more Hades, because Hades is still, you have that kind of story driven thing. The style to it, you have the replayability of it, but it's not a massive undertaking that something would be like for StarCraft 3. So maybe you kind of get like a little bit of like a single player game to kind of start with, something that's a little smaller like that has the RPG elements and stuff to it, and you can do a good story too. And it would be something different to that, something that Blizzard would have never done, because it would be almost more like a roguelike.
Well, I'm thinking back, what were some of Blizzard's first games? Did their games like Blackthorn and Vikings and like Rock and Roll Racing, didn't those come out before even StarCraft?
Yeah, Vikings and Rock and Roll Racing, those were all pre-StarCraft, pre-Warcraft.
Those weren't huge games either.
No, those were like miniature games, but you have to remember the tech that they were working with at the time too.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, they're capable of. They have so much imagination on that team, and just great people. I'm confident whatever they put out is going to be good.
It's definitely something to watch, and it's definitely something to keep your eyes on. If you're anywhere remotely interested in the gaming sphere of the world,
because this is something that could change the gaming sphere in a couple years as we know it.
I doubt it'll touch MMO, to be honest. I don't think it'll get there. I think it'll be
not right away.
If they world build correctly, like some of the people on that team can do, I could see it becoming MMO style. But for right now, I think they're probably going to focus RTS, RPG kind of games.
Oh, for sure.
Well, it definitely seems from like the specifications of all the team. Like that seems where their, where their main role is. So that would make most sense. I don't think I was gonna add on you've got to know those, despite them having at Blizzard having to remain all positive about it, the lash that they got from Diablo Immortal, all the devs, they saw that too. Like if they've got any sort of idea, like they're gonna stay far away from any sort of mobile announcements. Like their audience is like PC gamers, at least like that's what those devs are coming from.
Here's the thing, and this is something that's going to be very interesting to see too, is if this company can land one singular game, how that will affect Blizzard in turn, because I'd imagine they're going to be like, hey, we need to start hiring more people. And then you're going to look and you're going to start seeing those people who are part of Blizzard going to this because they trust Morheim, right? Like everyone trusts Morheim. Everyone trusts Browder. Like these are big names that the Blizzard community had that have kind of been, for lack of a better term, forced out of their quote unquote home because Activision.
So what? I mean, this also begs the question too: is like, who else are you going to see come back to work with Morheim? Like, could you?
Thrall.
Probably not. Yeah, I was gonna say, could you possibly see Metzing get back together and start working with Morheim again? Could you possibly see, like Ghostcrawler or some of the old OG style like Blizzard people that were that were I'm just saying, like, who else, and what other Blizzard employees and big names that are at Blizzard right now that aren't happy with how things are going looks at this and starts to kind of think about,
I don't know. Who's left? Sure. I don't know. J. Allen Brack, I don't see him going back over there.
I mean, here's the thing: is it's gonna all depend on what changes, let's be honest, Activision makes here within the next year and a half, because that is going to have a big, and I mean a big, turn as to what is actually going to happen with a lot of the Blizzard games as a whole. And I don't know. This is an open door for a lot of people.
Well, it's like if you're a young developer, right? What are you going to do? Are you going to take a pay cut to work for Blizzard, who in name, it's the Blizzard name, but we know how they really are right now? Or would you go to the real Blizzard, Dreamhaven? Because you're going to take a pay cut either company, right?
Well, personal thing, what I would do is I would get that stamp of approval of, yes, I worked at Blizzard for a year, then go to Dreamhaven.
Yeah,
that's what I would do.
Yeah. For what it's even worth anymore, if it even
just to have that name on the resume.
That's all.
It wouldn't be.
Like you show up to any job that is computer based, gaming based, and you have, I worked at Blizzard Entertainment.
Yep.
I mean, that gets you pretty much entry into anything. It's basically like having a resume that's saying you worked at Bethesda games.
See, it used to be something you wanted to keep, like, I work at Blizzard, like as many years as you can. Now it's more of like a minor league system. Yeah, I'll work a year at Blizzard in hell, and then I'll just get the heck out of there and go somewhere better. Like, it's so sad.
So that's.
I think the next year and a half is going to be very telling for Blizzard, and
I think so,
because I think you're going to either see something happen to where Activision sells, and you're going to see Blizzard come back to what Blizzard is.
Back to their roots and what really made them Blizzard, that fans really drew to them as.
Yeah, we should know by the end of the year, right? With WoW, if that's a flop by the end of December, that's not looking good.
Yeah,
I mean, because what are your big releases looking like for the next year and a half? WoW.
They have that Call of Duty that all the kids are talking about.
Maybe Diablo 4, possibly within a year and a half.
Diablo 4 is still 2 or 3 years out.
They've been talking about Overwatch 2, but there hasn't been news for
That's a good point. They have the Burning Crusade. They have the Burning Crusade they could release.
Yeah,
would
classic
help.
TBC.
Well,
But are
True.
they going to get new people or just the same people that play Classic now?
It's interesting you bring that up because there has been multiple unconfirmed leaks across the Reddit fucking world of TBC in, I think it said March or May.
Well, they
Like
sent out
March
that
through
private
May kind of deal.
set of
Probably
questions
beta.
for people.
No, not beta. Like they're talking full
Like an
release
actual
for-
launch?
Yeah, like May.
Remember
I
they
don't
sent
know.
out that questionnaire to people? Like,
Yeah.
what do you want? What
How would you
format
do
do
it?
you want TBC to be? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, I definitely think... again, I don't remember whose stream I was watching this week, but they were also talking about the classic TBC thing because you're gonna have the people that prefer how BC was, right? But then you're gonna have, obviously, like, your private server people that were from vanilla that they're never gonna leave vanilla because that's their thing.
I wouldn't
You
be
know.
so sure. I wouldn't be so sure. You might be right, but I think there's a lot of people that are tired of the world buff playstyle, which is basically the heart of Classic. You farm your world
True.
buffs, you don't die, you bring them in a raid. The
Yep.
Burning Crusade gets rid of all that.
Yeah.
So I think people will welcome that change.
And I was gonna add on just from personal experience. Back in the day, playing private servers, there's a big TBC private server community as well. Believe it or not.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like, a lot of people love TBC. So
The difference with that too is it's a lot of people that don't overlap with the classic community too. Like it's people who literally love TBC because
Right.
of TBC. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
So one other minor thing that I just saw the other day, not related to Blizzard or anything, but I just wanted to touch on it because I thought it was kind of a big thing really quick. So Microsoft purchased Bethesda this week for $7.5 billion.
And this is where Bethesda dies.
I can't even buy a Big
think
Mac,
so?
and these guys are buying
Hang on.
$7 million game companies.
Billion with a B. Billion.
B
Oh.
with a B, billion.
Enjoy your Big Mac with that B.
Oh, goodness.
October 1st, Doom Eternal comes to Xbox Games Pass.
That's
doesn't
big.
matter.
Oh,
doesn't
that's
matter.
big.
So they immediately bought Bethesda. The newest, biggest game that they just put out goes on Xbox Game Pass within a matter of like 2
Take
weeks.
that, Sony.
So like I don't want to sit here and talk about it like too much, but I thought it was just kind of it was like, hey, we bought it. Hey, here's the first like big thing that's coming to Games Pass now. Like, so
what if they take do you think they would
Just-
do that with
no,
Elder
don't talk
Scrolls?
about it. Don't talk about it. We'll move
Nah,
on.
nah.
I mean,
Move on from this
Six.
conversation because
Microsoft
there's so many
Game Pass.
fucking things going through my head right
I
now.
mean,
that this
why
may be a whole
wouldn't they?
episode.
They already have Halo. Like Halo's not coming to PlayStation. Why not take Elder Scrolls 2?
so all right. So let's get into like the meat of tonight's episode. First, do we have any updates on what Ranger's main is going to be in
Oh,
Shadowlands
no.
since you've been doing beta all week long?
I feel like
Oh,
if
boy.
I actually pick a main and say it's gonna get nerfed next week,
Say
So
it,
I'm-
Hooker.
I'm just gonna say I've narrowed it down to 3.
Okay.
In no particular order. There's the Frost Mage. There's Hunter, which I would probably swap Marksman, BM, depending on the fight. Some of the testing today looked like BM will be better than Marksman, at least on the dancing boss that I saw today.
Okay.
And then the one that you probably wouldn't guess is Shaman. Elemental Shaman.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because we'll talk about LA Shaman a little bit more a little bit
A
later.
lot of changes to Ellie and enhancement. Yeah.
So okay. So why James has the floor? Let's get more into your beta testing for the week. We started to talk about it before we talked about the Dreamhaven stuff. So general thoughts on it, like outside of outside of like the bugs and stuff that like really need to be
we already
fixed.
touched on those. Yeah, the questing that's done and completed is great. I think the Kyrian campaign is phenomenal. If you liked the
spoilers.
Warbringers with Uther, there's more stuff to that in their quest line. Their area is a little hard to get around. Ardenweald
Okay.
haven't gotten to test too much. Most of it is kind of broken right now. The zone itself is really cool. It's really easy to get around. My big thing, I guess, is the Maw. And Preach did a video on it where he was kind of confused about what it's supposed to be, and I'm right there with him. I get Torghast and all that. Torghast is fine. But the Maw itself is just really boring. It's just a vast open space. It all kind of looks the same, and you can't mount. You can kill a mob that rides a bear, and you can ride that for a little bit, but otherwise you cannot mount.
Yeah, that's interesting about the mall because I remember them initially talking about what the mall was going to be, and it was supposed to be essentially kind of this desolate land to where you felt like you were all alone, right? Like
that's pretty accurate, but you know what? It's depressing. It's so depressing, dude.
I mean,
is it supposed to be uplifting? Wait, am I missing something here? Like,
no, it definitely nails that feel, but I'm just saying as a gameplay, thing, I don't know, man. It's just not much there.
Look,
I think that they're going to add more to it than we have now, but right now it's pretty barren.
Let's be honest, okay? It's nailing that so people like the world first guilds don't farm it for 18 hours straight every single day.
Well, you will be whether you want to or not if they don't fix it, because the quests like go rescue 10 souls, right? Well, guess what? There's a bunch of souls around you, and you have to find one you can actually click on. And when you do, guess what? If another player comes and clicks on that before you, it's gone.
Oh boy.
Yes, so buckle up. And the longer you're there, the more you kill things. Obviously, the mechanic is the jailer gets onto you.
I was gonna say, I remember them talking about that too. Like, the longer you're there, the more you kill. Like, the jailer's supposed to be watching you and would send like death squadrons or whatever after you or something like that.
So when you kill rares and elites, which is kind of what you get the Stygia off of now. Yes, another thing we're gonna have to farm the fuck out of, Stygia. Get used to it.
Whoa.
Yeah, so the more you kill rares and elites to get Stygia, which you give to your camp, the more the jailer hates you. And there's 5 tiers and 5 levels to each tier. When you reach the maximum, he just insta kills you. You're done. And like you said, it gets worse each tier. He sends these little watchers after you, then he sends packs after you. He just makes your life miserable. And it takes about a day for his gaze to go elsewhere. So you're kind of capped at what you can do in there before he starts to hate you and kills you. And you lose, I believe, half of your Stygia that you farmed if you die.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be fun, man.
Tell
Shaman and Druids probably will like it more than other people because they can move around.
Welcome to the mall.
Welcome.
You're home for the expansion.
Yep.
I was gonna ask, like, as far as you might not have been able to see this, but other than the mall, like, as far as like daily content, the new world quest and all that, have you gotten a chance to test any of that out? And if so, like how is that feeling?
So, oh man, some of the world quests are great, right? Some of them are really fun. And some of them are just tilting. Like, there was this mirror one. And
that's what I was thinking of from last night.
Yeah, Cody and I think Steve and Sales. There was a lot of people. They were helping me do it. But basically, it's a magic mirror room. And you have to keep going through mirrors till you reach the right sequence and reach the end. It took about 20 minutes.
Nice.
Oh,
and if you go through the wrong one, it puts you back at the start of the whole thing.
You start over again.
Oh boy.
So basically, world quests are going to take longer than they do now on BFA. There's less of them, and you don't have to do as many of them as you do now. So they take much longer, and there's more things to do. So I'd say 50-50. Some of them are actually pretty fun, and some of them are just going to be infuriating, and you might want to skip them.
So
Yeah.
assuming they make those little bit more difficult ones or annoying ones a little bit better, do you prefer the new system over BFA's, like 50 world quests?
Only in the sense that, from what I'm hearing and from what I'm seeing in game, yeah, you have to do less world quests than you do now. So I like that. Like, there's not like a go and do like 20 world quests a day kind of thing. You just do your it's called a calling you get from your covenant, and it's basically like go do 3 world quests in any random zone, and then you're done. So it's much better in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it'll be. Hey, I'd rather get stuff like all my stuff done in an hour, I think, than have like 50 different tasks to do and all of that.
I'd rather do like 3 longer quests than 10 little short quests.
Yeah.
That's fair. That makes sense. Other thoughts on beta?
I just don't think it's gonna be ready, but I really hope it is. I really like the covenant changes they did. I will say that.
Okay.
This week's covenant changes have been phenomenal. They've been able to reach their goal in that a lot of them are a little closer to each other now. Like, you could see there's a couple builds you could see maybe swapping a couple covenants. Like Kyrian may be better, Ventir may be better. They're kind of close to each other in damage. So that's
okay. Good. Okay. So I didn't get to see any of it because I was working, but what were thoughts on like people who watched or did raid testing today?
There actually surprisingly wasn't that many people streaming it, and I have a sneaking suspicion I know why, because I'm imagining that they're thinking these are probably the final passes on the bosses, so they're actually getting
Okay. Don't
get me wrong, there were some.
Right.
Like, there wasn't a lot.
What'd you think of the dance mechanic change that they made on the boss today on the council?
I didn't see it.
Okay, it actually flashes red, and you actually just walk into where it's flashing to go, rather than you have a little mecha torque thing.
Well, so they did that on the last pass. What they basically made you do on the last pass was make you follow, not with the click buttons, but you actually had to like WASD or
now
mouse
you actually
move around
can see where you're supposed
to go.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's a good change, but I also think that it's just iteration upon iteration and getting to that final point of you actually look better now as a raid group, when you're actually boogieing down.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that makes sense. Because it also goes back to kind of like, it's a gimmick fight, right? So like, how gimmicky do you really want this to be when it comes to...
Oh, it's such a gimmicky fight, that fight in particular.
I would have loved to have seen them do something to, like, instead of it being now you're stunned and out of the fight forever, I would have rather have seen them do like the Medivh Echoes cheats thing from Karazhan on like the squares you're not supposed to go to, or like the squares that you're staying in going bad kind of deal, to where you have to go, or if you don't go, you're taking damage that's unhealable kind of deal. I don't know.
So I did hear, I don't know if they fixed it or not, but apparently you were at one point able to PvP trinket out of the stun from that mechanic. So
Yep.
Human racial ?
Work too.
Yep.
Ooh.
So people are kind of thinking that's going to get patched before things go live.
That is
otherwise that is just the main mechanic of the fight gone.
What's also interesting to see today, some of the limit people, like THD, I believe is his name, the Warlock, is actually a dwarf for the raid testing. So I don't know if they're just playing with it to see how... Like, I don't know if they're seriously considering Alliance or anything like that, but the dwarf racials are going to be uber strong for Mythic Plus and raid in this expansion.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of bleeds and whatnot in the new raid, isn't there?
Yeah, a lot of bleeds and a lot of poisons in M+ as well. Yep.
So, like, do you think we'd actually see World First guilds go from Horde to Alliance?
If the damage was out of control to where they felt like the way to do it was cheese something like the Jaina mechanic where they all went troll,
Okay.
it's very possible. Because you think about it, you're getting a cleanse, possibly if you're Kyrian, 2 cleanses for free on a 2-minute cooldown, and if you're something like
On a majority of the raid.
On a majority of the raid, and if you're Dark Iron, you're getting stat amp on top of that, or whatever it is, stat bonus on top of it per thing cleansed. So if there's a fight that is like a poison and a bleed, you're doubling the amount of actual main stat that you're getting from being a good player and cleansing that buff.
Okay.
I'm thinking too. Yeah, you guys remember back in the day? I mean, Limit swapped to Alliance just to get the one Warfront piece or whatnot. Remember that? Like that was just for one.
Absolutely.
So I would not be surprised.
I don't think going to Alliance for just completely obliterating a buff mechanic or a debuff mechanic is completely out of the question. This is going to be interesting.
I don't think so either. Yeah, I think
True.
we could definitely see it.
Because I guess, like you just said, Steve, we saw it in this expansion with not the whole faction switch, but just the race switch of everyone going troll for the Jaina fight, because it gave you that extra, like 1 or 2 seconds, if that, on that buff. Like, it was such a small margin that it actually gave, but it was just enough.
Every second counts on that wall, man. That wall that had to go down.
Well, no, it wasn't even the wall. So what it was is they went troll because they figured out that from when the wall goes down to when the ice guy becomes active, the voodoo shuffle buff,
her big pet.
Yeah, her big pet. The voodoo shuffle buff basically cut 2 seconds off of the frigid winds or whatever debuff that they had. That one where if you hit 15, you needed to clear your stacks right away. And basically what they figured out is if you were able to go troll and clear that stack, you're able to do it in the duration of killing the water elemental to get back to Jaina, and the stacks wouldn't reset. There was like there was a 2-second window to where the stacks would fall off. Meanwhile, everyone was like, it's for the berserk for the wall.
Nope.
No.
It was not. So yeah, I think it's definitely going to be interesting to see how things go in that regard, because I guess the other thing you look at that point is, like, if you're in the middle of a lockout and you faction change, what does that do for the lockout? Because if you or do you just move the whole guild?
You'd probably have to,
right? Because
I think your lockout would get reset, or I think it would. I don't know. I haven't tried it. Quick, someone spend $25 and test it. I guess.
So I'm kind of curious to see how that would impact stuff too. So yeah, kind of I don't know if you guys would consider this a minor thing or a major change. No more bonus rolls in Shadowlands.
I'm okay with it.
It's big, but it's also not big.
I was annoyed at first when it came out, but then I got thinking about it, and a lot of my frustration, like, I feel like the system just gives me frustration. Like, I'm always fishing that chance. I'm like, I could get this. Oh, it's AP. Like, screw this. Like,
because it's like, not only can you just get gold or whatever and you're unhappy, but you can also get an item you don't want and then you're also unhappy. So it's
true.
Like, I don't have to worry about that. I don't have to do a hey, did you guys remember your rerolls at the beginning of the raid? You know, none of that anymore.
Just
that was my favorite tweet from the week, was from freaking Roger Brown, who was like, meanwhile, everyone in our Discord is like, oh no, bonus rolls are gone. But me as raid leader thinking to myself, thank God I don't have to make sure that I have to summon someone who forgot their rolls.
We've all done it. We've all shown up.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's a lie. I've never shown up to raid without rolls. That's fucking true. Cause I give everybody else shit for showing up without him. Why would I do that?
Or you have and just never said anything.
No, I've literally never showed up to raid without bonus rolls.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay,
Allegedly.
so let's get
Allegedly.
into the major things from the week. Covenant ability changes.
Amazing.
They're good. They're really, really good. Blue DK, the fact that they gave Frost a little bit of love, but basically nerfed everything else to kind of give it that kind of bit of love. I don't know. I think it's good. I think it brings it in line to where you can start bringing niche things out, like you could possibly see Kyrian DKs for the cleanse.
Okay.
I mean,
Slappy boys.
you can see Slappy Boys. They just don't do a ton of damage. I mean, they could amp the damage up on it, which is definitely a possibility, which would make it a little bit better. I mean, they're not completely dead in the realm of damages and everything else. You just actually have to give it time to ramp. And while you're giving it time to ramp, just making sure you're doing your rotation properly. So it's kind of like they're benefiting you for playing the spec correctly. And then as long as you basically keep pulling, you'll keep that damage amp up.
Okay.
So, I mean, I think it's a good change.
Warlock changes were big. An example of changes done right, they nerfed Affliction inadvertently a little bit, but yet they're still, maybe they're not S tier, maybe they're A now. But now, so they nerfed Decimating Bolt. It used to boost the damage of your next 3 Drain Souls, and now it's only your next Drain Soul. And what that's done is now Kyrian is much more competitive with that. And so you saw people testing both today because they're so close. And we won't know until the websites do their sims what is really better. But at least at first glance, a lot of them have been brought closer to each other with this round of changes.
Okay.
I mean, the next big one that I thought for the week was the Hunter one, which James, you said was busted, which we kind of all figured it was broken.
So the Night Fae one was broken. It not in a good way. It just literally didn't really work, and it wasn't tested at all because of it. It just procced off of your attacks as a hunter, not your pet. So it was kind of useless, and they changed it to proc off every ability you or your pet uses. It will hit up to 5 targets within the radius that you put it down on. But the problem is, inadvertently, there was a bug with it where every hit from Rapid Fire and Barrage would proc the 5 beams of death down. So you saw like Gingy doing 100k in dungeons.
Oh
I was able
God.
to get up to like, okay, you do 4k, 4 to 6k, you're pumping. I did 35k on a pull with Marksman Night Fae. So that was a lot of fun, but they've changed it, so they fixed it now.
Which we figured that would be a quick fix with how busted it was that day.
You can't send that through. That was too much.
So you also said you're looking at LA Shamans, and I know that the changes that they got, how much did that affect them? Because initially people were like it hurt them really bad, and now I guess it's not quite as bad as it seems.
It hurt their legend. So there were 2 things. It hurt their legendary, because not only did their Kyrian, which was basically cookie cutter if you're Ellie or enhancement, that was what you went. It was just the best. They nerfed the damage scaling and the healing from it. And not too much, but just minor tweaking. And they changed the legendary. So it used to be you cast a Earth Shock or an Elemental Blast, and your next Earthquake will do 250% more damage. And dude, this thing trucked in keys. Your Earthquake would do so much damage. And they changed it to where Elemental Blast no longer procs it. Now you have to use an Earth Shock. So you have to farm up the 60 Maelstrom, use an Earth Shock, then farm up 60 more to place your Earthquake. And it's effectively dead. It's not a good playstyle anymore, so you don't use that anymore. But with the Covenant changes, they buffed Night Fae and they buffed the Venthyr one, Chain Harvest. And the TLDR, I won't go into details, but so Tickle is a big Shaman theory crafter. He was going into arenas with enhancement, and their Chain Harvest, the Venthyr, scales off their Maelstrom,
Oh
And
god.
he basically was doing one shot 46k.
Oh wow.
And their health pool is 26k.
So that's double their health pool.
Yes.
Yep.
And it does AoE damage, and every time it crits, right? So you can hit up to 12 targets if there are 12 targets. Well, 12 hits if there's 6 targets there, right? Every crit lowers the cooldown of it.
So I mean, how good does that make enhancement now if you're looking at something like Mythic Plus and stuff for
Big.
for clear?
Big.
It's big because it's burst damage on like basically hitting one button. And
It's on demand AoE.
yeah,
like,
it's just
it's
one
literally-
button and you just boom. And the LE one, it scales with their talent, their second row talent, where you press it and your next spell you cast will hit 2 times. You can use that with your Covenant ability now, the Venthyr one.
Okay.
So just insane burst AoE. So we'll see. They got nerfed, but they might have actually, through the Covenant changes, got some buffs and some new playstyles and builds.
Okay. So here's an interesting question. So Shadow Priest got changes this week to where Devouring Plague is gonna kind of stack similar to Fire Mage's Ignite. So
It needed to happen.
Shadow Priest, new
big,
Fire
dude.
Mage.
It's
It needed
big.
to have it. Well, here's the difference: is mages ignites can spread, right? So single target Shadow Priests were really not doing anything because they were literally cap and not want to put another Devouring Plague because it would just reset the duration,
It
clip
just
the dot,
refreshes it.
and
yeah.
it does nothing. This means that if they're able to get their sanity up and go and go and go, they can dump as many Devouring Plagues into a single target and just amp their damage forever.
Okay.
Like it's gonna be nuts.
I'm actually curious now, like if it's more worthwhile, how it's going to change their other one, their talent. What is it, Searing something? Where Mindseer
applies it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I think it's Void Torrent or something. I think that gives.
Well, no,
it to
the
everything.
AOE one that they have, where when you're mind searing, you can press this talent button and it dumps your sanity for like it puts Shadow Word Pain on everything, and if they already have it on them, it'll do double damage. So it's
Yeah.
like
Okay.
a spender. I wonder if that's gonna be like not as strong anymore because you can just pump out Devouring Plagues instead.
True.
Sounds like they're giving a lot of love to Shadow Priest.
Oh, they look so good, man. We got like 4 new Shadow Priest
I mean-
mains this week.
Yeah, I mean, the just the simple change to one ability makes a class go from not noticeably interesting to this is actually really cool.
Yep.
Like being
I mean,
able
I
to
guess-
ramp is just nuts.
Yeah, like my worry with Shadow Priest is the same thing that it always is they buff them, they become way too strong, and then they nerf them, and they
Yep.
fall right back down to where they were, because it just seems like one of those specs that they can never balance right. It's either really, really strong, or it's kind of just okay, or it's just absolute
Well,
garbage.
they fixed their one of their main issues, right, was their scaling haste. I believe they've fixed that, right, and toned that down with their new kind of build and how their new kit works.
I'm not sure. We also lost Steve.
Yeah, I see that.
I was gonna ask though. So you guys know I don't play DPS very much. So you'll have to forgive me for not knowing all the new Shadow Priest stuff. But like I know a big weakness for them is like in particular like in dungeons, if you didn't chain pull and like weren't constantly pulling with them
Yeah.
falling out of void form, it was really bad to have a Shadow Priest. Like it felt really bad. So with like their new build and everything they've got going on, is a lot of those issues fixed now, do you think?
Yes, definitely. Yeah, because it's a different play style. It's more just like a builder spender now, like other classes. Like you build up your insanity, you spend it on Devouring Plague or Searing Nightmare, and that's kind of what you do.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
yeah, I think they'll be much better in Mythic Plus because of that.
Curious if we'll see a lot of them in the first season of Shadowlands M+.
You might. Their Covenant abilities still aren't like phenomenal, but they all have good like group utility.
Yeah, last I heard, it wasn't like arguing over which one is good. It's more so which one is the least bad.
Yeah.
I saw
So
that. That's
I
not.
think Night Phase fun because it's like it does different effects based on what you do. Like you can Shadow Mend, it doesn't affect. You put a shield on somebody, you get a different effect. And I think there's 2 other spells that interact with the Night Phase one. So there's some fun stuff. They're gonna pump the damage though. They look great today on
The testing.
raid testing.
On testing.
Rogues and priests were at the top. Yeah.
Yeah, so which I think is interesting. How's rogues kind of just came out of nowhere?
Subtlety is back.
No, so rogues.
Or does this have to deal with the covenant change from Vinther?
So rogues have kind of always been there, especially after the last tuning pass of whatever the bone dust thing or bone poison is that they had out of whatever the hell that Necrolords, I think is what it was.
Necrolords?
Yeah, but basically the Venthyr one was never used because Slaughter was Omega Lol, like laughable.
Right.
And then this new one may be good, possibly. I feel like it's gonna very, very much help the classes that scale very well off of mastery for them. So like if you're an assassination where your poisons or whatever scale really well, it may do a lot better than something like combat. So
Okay.
Well, they got their poisons back too. The outlaw.
Yeah, but I thought subtlety's actual mastery itself scaled poison.
Oh, subtlety.
damage.
I thought you said assassination. Subtlety probably.
One of
yeah.
the two. One of the two does.
Would be Assass. Assass is the poison one, so that would probably make sense if that one scaled poison damage.
Yeah, I mean, basically what it is they put a mark on a target, they hit it 25 times, they consume the mark, and then for a minute they get 10% mastery. Like it's just simple.
That's pretty
stack,
good for a whole
stack, spend, stack, spend, stack, spend.
Which, and I mean, the ability itself only has, what, a 25-second cooldown on it, so you can keep that buff up full time?
It's a 20-second CD, but the CD doesn't refresh until you take it off, if that makes sense. So you put it on the target, and then the moment you're actually consuming the 25 stacks is when it starts the CD again.
Okay.
So
Interesting.
One thing I've been hearing that I was curious your guys' thoughts on is the borrowed power discussion and where you guys stand on that, because a lot of these Covenant abilities are borrowed power, and I know a lot of people are against that and kind of like their class abilities to do the damage. Where do you guys stand on that?
So I think this expansion, they needed to do it. And the reason I say that is they're putting in the stat squish, they're doing all of this other things. They're basically resetting us back to 60. They're only giving us a 10 level gap to fix everything and kind of gain power, as it were. But I think this expansion sets up for the next expansion where they might start pulling away from that, because I have a feeling that next expansion you're going to see something like talent tree overhauls, and you're going to see things like more unpruning or more fixing abilities that should be in the game that aren't in the game. So I feel like while borrowed power is not a great system, I think it's something that needed to happen with this particular expansion just to kind of settle everything out
because of the level squish and everything else that's going on with this time around.
Correct. Because I mean, you can't really fit, you can't remake the wheel and redo all of this stuff with the level squish and everything else and then plan to do a talent tree reset and remake the talent trees for all of the specs and all of the classes. It's just not going to happen.
Right.
It's just too much to undertake. I think this will probably be one of the last times you see a borrowed power system, in my opinion.
Unless, I would say probably unless it's something to where they come out and say like, hey, this is the final expansion for the game, and then you have something equivalent to like Legion, or you have something kind of equivalent to like Legion artifacts, to where it was all that borrowed power because you were going up against something that was so strong, you needed that
Maybe.
that influx of borrowed power type thing.
Maybe, but they better have a really good reason to do it again.
Right.
Mind it, and it kind of makes sense in the story. We are joining covenants and borrowing their power, but the thing is, as long as it's a little bit, but like with some of the covenant changes, man, like the Night Phase Shaman abilities was doing like 35% of their damage. And it's just, I think that's a little excessive. And,
Yeah, that's way excessive. I feel
you're
like
seeing that with quite a few different classes right now.
I mean, that's almost equivalent to when you have some of those like really OP trinkets when raids first come out
It's
that
like
do
corruption, dude.
yeah. So
It's like infinite stars again. Granted, it's not passive, but that's what it reminds me of, and I don't want to be reminded of that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, we had borrowed power in Legion too, and Legion was perfectly done fine. And I think the way that they handled it was okay.
Different though. Because it was a little different.
I mean,
I don't feel like you had quite as much. Like, you had your artifact weapon, your artifact traits, and your relics, right?
I mean, think about how much power that artifact weapon gave you.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But every shaman only got you had one artifact weapon per spec, right? Versus you can have the covenant choices now, so all three specs they get the same covenant ability now. It's weird.
Yeah, I think it's gonna play interestingly, but I do think that this is probably gonna be one of the last times that you see it, simply because of the reset.
Yeah,
I think it just needed to happen one more time, not for anything other than just ease of access on making the transition happen.
Is we don't have our max rank soulbinds yet in our abilities, so maybe that'll make a difference when we get some more gear and we get our ranks up, and are we legendary?
That will kind of help balance. That will help kind of maybe balance the damage between your class abilities and your covenant abilities. That they'll close that gap kind of as the expansion goes on.
Yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing is we're looking at covenant abilities, and some covenant abilities may be stronger than others because the soul binds or the conduits or whatever may be lacking, right? Definitely the Kyrian one, you get, what is it, 2 potency conduits really early on.
So yeah, that's something we didn't touch on that I'll just say. I saw somebody in the chat mention it too. The Kyrian and the Venthyr, you get your potency conduits much faster than weeks ahead of other covenants, and the potency ones are basically your damage. One example is for Frost Mage, it increases the damage of your Ice Lance against frozen targets by 10%.
Which,
oh wow,
correct me if I'm wrong, right now everyone's kind of saying that all of the Kyrian abilities are kind of under on damage for the most part, which would make sense because you're then getting more power through the conduits.
Yep.
That's kind of my point, is you're gaining power in one aspect, and then they're balancing out with conduits.
Yeah, and unfortunately, some conduits are much better than others. Some classes and specs. I should say specs, because some specs really got shafted. There's really not great DPS conduits, and other ones are boom, 10% damage to your frozen orb. Easy.
What do you mean?
I'd like to see them balance those more.
Every target hit by your Avenger shield takes 45% more holy damage? What? What do you mean? What could ever go wrong?
Affliction ramps up 4 seconds faster. Woo!
Yeah, it's... I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out and balance out throughout the expansion.
Yeah, Blizzard, good luck, man. I really do genuinely hope that you can do it, because, man, I will give you a golden star if you can.
One golden star.
Oh man.
I almost feel like maybe a little bit of borrowed power isn't bad, but to the point where we have it now, where we have so many other so many systems all together, it just becomes too much. Way
Twilight
too much.
Dev damage from tanks on N'Zoth.
Yeah, Mike, tell us about your 58% Twilight Dev damage while you're running fucking vessels, buddy. Go ahead.
No joke, though. We're going to see that again with Shaman ability, with some of them. We're going to see that again.
I mean, the thing that I do like with the Covenant abilities over something like Corruption is at least you're not having to fish for it, right? Like, at least you're not praying towards RNG to where, like, if this doesn't fall on this piece of gear, my damage is completely screwed now at this point. At least it's you join this Covenant, you get this ability.
It's not even that. It's more so you're taking out all of the random damage, which if you've listened to any of our progging or when we were even killing N'Zoth after we've killed it, so many pulls were just scuffed as shit because LOLTD is procced when before it didn't proc.
Yeah, when it's to kill tentacles.
Yeah, or you have, my infinite star stacked 15 times so quickly on one mob versus it stacked one time 12 fucking minutes into a fight. Like, it's not bad, right? Now you're on a button and you can control when your button happens.
It's better.
Right.
Yeah, it's not passive RNG. A lot of them are, like you're saying, you interact with them more. And you
like at least if you're going to give us borrowed power, let us control it and not make it like an RNG type thing. So,
I mean, I know if I had another tank on here or in chat at all, Jim would agree that that's basically what every tank has wanted is give us Twilight Dev, but give us on like a 30-second cooldown button that we can just press.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, that makes sense.
Yeah,
I can see that.
Before they nerfed it to, 10 targets? If you had something like that, you would do ginormous like dungeon pulls and all that.
Yeah.
It's your top Twilight Dev and just kill everything. Oh.
Yeah.
It would be glorious.
But I mean, you do that anyway. Right now, you're except now you're fishing for the proc. Like that's all you're doing now. Like that's the difference. Is you still do it. You would just have control over when you could do it. It would give you more things to play around, which is what Covenant abilities are doing. That, which I'm fine with.
Yeah, because especially when you go look at things like Mythic Plus and stuff, that's what you want. You want that control of, hey, we can stack these on this pull. This is one of the hardest pulls in the dungeon compared to, hey, this is one of the hardest pulls in the dungeon. Oh, that was easy. And the next time you go in and you do it, well, now we wiped because nothing procced.
I mean, that's the same thing for mobs. Environment.
Mobs have 10% health. Twilight Dev, like, boy, I wish that popped at the beginning of the pull.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think borrow power is fine when they do something like this to where it's controlled. But I think, like I said, this will be probably the last time you see it.
Yeah. So, touching on, we talked about the mall a little bit already.
I think we touched on it a lot.
Well, I want to touch a little bit on Torghast, not the mall itself, because there was an interesting discussion that I heard this week from Sloot about. I know, Steve, me and you talked about this a little bit earlier today. So right now in beta, Torghast only has 8 levels to it. Now each level has a certain amount of floors to it. I think it's like 6 or 7. But when this feature was brought out at the BlizzCon reveal and everything, this Torghast was originally framed as an endless dungeon kind of thing in a way, or think of it kind of like a roguelike. You can go through it, it's replayable, you'll get different anima powers, runs are supposed to be different. And currently it only has 8 levels to it, and apparently it's been like this for months, and Blizzard has been very, very tight-lipped. Like, you've had people asking them, like big prominent people asking them, Sloot, Tally, your world first raiders and stuff like that, hey, what's going on with Torghast? And they've had absolutely no response about it. So basically, it kind of raises a concern though of, like, are they changing a major feature from what it was originally promoted as, or is it something that's going to come later into the expansion?
So the way I'm thinking it's going to play, right, is they've just announced the legendary upgrades through it. So you can upgrade your legendaries with getting the crafting materials out of Torghast itself. Even with the base one, you can upgrade it as time goes on. What I'm seeing or what I'm thinking is going to happen is there's going to be a point where they treat it like almost like a mage tower kind of deal, to where you're going to have an endless halls, which is something that they've tested and they know works. And what they're going to do in endless halls is once you get to certain points and breakpoints in endless halls, you'll start getting cosmetic unlocks. Like if you reach floor 50 in endless halls, you'll get a mount, or you'll get a title, or you'll get a pet, or you'll get a T-Mog, or something along those lines. They've tested it. It's already been tested extensively when it was back a long time ago. I think that was them testing for later on in the expansion.
Okay.
I don't think it's going to be endless to start. I think it's something that they're going to build on and expand as the expansion goes. I don't think it's. I think it's going to be kind of limited at the start, which is fine.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Like, it was just an interesting thing that I heard come up about, originally when, like I said, when the announcement was made, it was this endless dungeon that you can replay and runs would be different, and it was supposed to be like this continuous challenge throughout the whole expansion, and then in beta,
The core of what it is, at least when I first saw like Sloot and other people testing it, and then I got my hands on it, it's pretty much what I expected it to be. Like you do, each run is you get your powers reset, and you can go a different route if you want.
Yeah, so it's essentially a roguelike.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, you only get the crafting materials a certain amount out of each run or whatever. Like there is a cap to it for right now, which is fine. And when I think they add in that endless mode or whatever, like you're not going to get anything from it for legendaries. You're just going to get the cosmetic.
It's going to be cosmetic. So essentially you could have like two different wings to it, or a couple different wings to Torghast itself, to where like this is where you go for your legendaries, this is where you go for your cosmetics.
Yeah, and that's what you saw at the beginning of beta. Like you saw there was three different subsections of Torghast itself.
Okay.
You saw that there was the story mode one where you had to go in a couple times, and then you saw that they had it labeled as like a heroic or something, like heroic Torghast, and then you had the endless halls.
The first one that you do is just a short one, just to kind of tell you how to do it, and you rescue Bane. That's the very first one you do.
Jesus, with the spoilers tonight. Hello? Can we put a flashing bot up or something? Like, what is happening now?
Weeboo.
God, at least give me the chance to.
It's okay. We can just bleep it out in post.
Just edit it in post. Post it. Just edit it.
I think that's an interesting. Steve brings up an interesting idea, though. Like, I think that would make one thing they talked about with Torghast is like once you've done it, so many times, it's just like there's no point to it. Like it's just kind of, it gets boring, it gets monotonous. But if they slowly like released it more and more, I feel like that could make it more like the replayability of it could be higher. Like if they release, like so many levels at a time with the next patch or something, it could be something interesting like that.
Yeah, so it looks like chat too. Dan just said like there's something in Torghast called Twisting Corridors, which is an 18-floor run that is also a challenge mode style. And it says the Twisting Corridors will generate 3 layers randomly chosen from 6 wings and stitch them all together. So
yeah, it's more challenge mode shit. Like that's what I'm saying.
It's kind of like they're islands of Shadowlands, except for they're actually fun.
Yep.
Yeah. True.
And you can just stomp through.
It's almost like islands combined with like Mage Tower from Legion.
And you can do it solo or in a group. Like I could see you just having a few drinks with the boys. You guys want to do a challenge mode Torghast?
Hey, you guys
kind of screw around.
That's
you
gonna go well.
Kill each other in Torghast by exploding mall rats together? Yeah, dude, let's do it.
That is one of the abilities. Yes. Mall rats explode.
All right.
But yeah,
so
like I said, I think you're gonna see basically 3 different variations of it throughout the expansion, to where you're going to have this initial kind of wave where it's farm your materials. Then you'll start seeing the heroic or challenge mode version of it, and then you'll start seeing the endless runs.
Yeah, that makes sense. So couple of new Castle Nathria things came out this week. So we got 3 new trinkets that came out. No,
Steve is
what?
shaking his head at something. I don't know.
The fucking agi one
Oh,
is bananas.
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Okay, so it's so there's this trinket that came out this week called Hateful Chain. Because we were talking last week about kind of what we thought like would be a tank trinket and whatnot. Well, we found it. We got it this week. So while this is equipped and you have a greater health percentage than your target, your abilities have a very high chance to deal basically extra damage to the target. While you are lower health percentage than your target, your abilities have a very high chance to grant you an absorb shield, and both of those are based off of your versatility, it looks like.
I want to step into the brain of whatever maniacal mastermind made this trinket. It is literally, hey, tanks, do you want damage amp? Cool, keep your mitigation up and
Yep.
keep your damage amp. Hey, do you want a shield that keeps you alive when you're getting dicked on? This does it too. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Because, I mean, you have to figure at a certain point, too, it's just straight damage amp as long as you're steady.
Is it going
As
to
a
be
tank?
something? Because it's only agi, right? Is this
It's
going to be
only
something
agi.
where it doesn't fucking matter? I'm a warrior and I'm going to
Probably.
wear it
Yep.
anyway.
100%.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%. A warrior tank, a paladin tank, you're wearing that trinket.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Like that trinket is stupid. And it will, like, it is dumb.
I would be surprised if they didn't.
Like,
nerf
it's
it
not-
in some way.
The thing is too is it's not even just a tank specific trinket, right? Warriors could use it. Demon hunters can
Yeah,
use
it's not tank specific. It's
it. This trinket is one of those trinkets where you're like, yeah, I'm a melee DPS.
like,
I can use
however, I would like, of course, personal loot, but ideally, you would probably want your tanks to get their hands on this first, just
Nope.
because of
No, you put that on your damage dealers first, 100%. And the reason that is just simply the odds of your damage dealer staying at 100% more than below 100% or whatever the health percentages of the boss. Like it's better in the hands of a DPS because it will
Yeah,
amp
I
the
mean,
damage higher.
I mean,
It's just a
true.
really
I'm
strong
also
tank
thinking.
trinket.
I mean, I'm also thinking about it from a tank's perspective too, as a tank perspective at the start of an expansion, to where it doesn't really matter what you do, you absolutely just get your shit pushed in.
It doesn't matter.
Because
It still goes on the damage dealer 100%
But-
of the time.
yeah, that trinket is, we're seeing some absolutely nutty trinkets come out of this raid. And that comes off of Sludge Fist, so I'm not sure exactly where he is at within
He's
like
not one
the
of the
raid.
final 2, so it won't be one of the higher. item
Sludge
level ones.
Sludge Fist is 8. He
It's
is
8. Okay, so
yes,
he
yeah.
is
He's the lead.
that's what I've heard. I've heard he is the one, I'm going to beat the ever living shit out of your tanks the entire fight boss. And he's also the DPS check. So he is your healing and DPS check for this raid.
Number 8 boss is that usually the DPS checks come earlier.
No, he is. So Sludge Fist has like a total of 3 mechanics, but a piss load of health. A tank basically gets meat hooked from patchwork to where you're getting
Oh.
slammed, right? So those old mechanics are coming back. Then the main tank has to run him into a pillar because he does a charge. He drops rubble from the ceiling that is persistent throughout the fight. He then chains 2 people together, and if you extend those chains beyond 12 yards, both people die instantly.
So this
Can't wait.
this right here is, I think, well, of course, you never know with mythic rating, especially when it comes to the world first race, because you look at what was it, this expansion, Eternal Palace, and your first major wall was Thick Vein, right?
Yep.
Like everyone got
This is
stuck in,
worse.
and you're not used to seeing them get hard stuck on a boss that early into the raid, unless something is completely broken, like Fetid was from Uldir.
Numerically impossible.
numerically impossible, right?
Whoa,
but
whoa, we don't say those things. That's all misconstrued information. That's a feature.
I love
But-
they responded with the, "Are you sure you're swapping fast enough?"
right,
That's
but
what they
from
told them on Feathered
yeah.
Devourer.
Oh no.
But from the looks of it, is Sludge Fist is going to be the one of the big walls before you crack like your final 3 bosses or whatever of the dungeon. Like he's gonna
So-
kind of be that gatekeeper to your back end.
well, hopefully we'll have the gear by then on to soften the blow a little bit.
Here's the thing, right? You have 4 pillars to work with. After 4 pillars and him being dazed for a total of 40 seconds, taking 200% more damage, whatever it is. So each pillar is 10 second stun, damage amp on the boss by 100%. After that, the boss is dead or your tank is dead because it's a one shot.
So you better
That's your enrage.
be
It's
you
4
better
pillars.
have your cooldown set up.
Like it's meant to be like a 5-6 minute fight. It's going to go so fast.
You better be cranking those numbers.
It's not even a cooldown thing, Cody. It will kill you.
No, I know that. I'm just saying, like, you better have your DPS cooldowns lined up for when he's taking that increased damage. Like, it's one of those fights where you have to have everything lined up when he takes that increased damage.
Yeah, that boss is gonna be no joke. He's gonna slap tanks.
I mean, talking about like some of the other bosses and stuff. Shriekwing, your intro boss into the dungeon is not bad, but it's one of the first times we've seen a first boss like this have some very straight up just pass fail mechanics.
Yeah.
Not hard number wise, but just some straight up pass fail mechanics, especially on Mythic.
They have fixed a lot of those.
Have they?
Yeah, it's actually, if you go and you look at how to actually kill it now, it's kind of maniacally easy. So basically all it is you're using 2 corners of the room, and
Okay.
when she looks at the raid and starts shrieking, everybody just moves to the other side of the room, and then you drop blood in one corner, which is why Dispriest Shamans, they're going to be super strong on this fight, because you basically continuously just drop blood into this one corner of the room. So every time you go to drop, you basically just drop a link, and it's on like a 1.5 minute timer.
Okay.
And then after the discs are all done and you're done hiding, you go back to the other side of the room, rinse, repeat probably 1 or 2 more times, I think. And then it goes into intermission to where she starts running around the room, and you just play Ring Around the Rosie with the Blood Lantern and the pillar. It's easy. It's not as bad.
No, I mean it's definitely gonna have somewhat of a learning curve to it once you get in there, but it was like I said, I don't remember what stream it was this week that I was watching, but it was just kind of an interesting conversation about it's the first time you've kind of seen a first boss like this have just some of those very straight up pass fail mechanics, one shot mechanics, to where like if your lantern carrier dies, the raid wipes type deal this early into the dungeon, because you don't normally see those until later on.
Yeah.
I don't like pass fail mechanics, but if they're gonna put any in the raid, putting it on the first boss is ideal in my opinion, because no matter what, the first boss is never gonna be. It's never supposed to be a wall or something that's incredibly difficult.
No, and I mean the first boss in Eternal Palace was difficult just because it was really high fucking numbers. Like
she was tough,
like,
even on re-clears.
It was just numerically a hard fight because there was so much damage going out. So
yeah, I don't think this will be as bad as she was.
I like
no, it was just
it's a big healing check.
Yeah, what was that one? Shavara, right? Mistress Shavara?
Yeah.
Or something like that?
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Commander Shavara.
Oh, that was tough. A lot of damage going out.
So the other cool thing that I thought came out about Nathria this week is that the weapons that you get from there, from the weapon tokens, will have Covenant-specific appearances,
They do. I can confirm. I have turned one in on the beta.
which I
It's
think is
pretty.
really nice because it will kind of kill the whole thing if you're supposed to be built around picking this Covenant and then you go have this Venthyr-looking sword in your Kyrian.
That's exactly what happened to me. How did you know?
You know.
No, seriously, my
Yeah.
panda mage who was Kyrian at the time, I turned it in and it was like a Venthyr weapon.
Yeah, that would be my question: is what happens if you change covenants after you've acquired the weapon? Because I have a feeling that a lot of people who are like T-Mog collectors are gonna get kind of pissed that they're gonna have to kind of cycle
I've
through
wondered
all of
about
them
that.
to get that. So what I'm kind of hoping
Ooh.
that they do is they kind of just go,
It will just
"Okay,
switch with
change-
whatever.
you're changed over.
Yeah, that would be nice because that could be kind of
I mean,
a big
at the end
slap in the face if.
at the end of the day, right? If you do end up swapping and doing whatever, and they keep the Venthyr weapon, I mean, it's not a terrible big deal. Like you're still
Have they
getting
said
the
how
weapon.
any of that's gonna work? Like if you unlock a let's just say a cloth piece from Kyrian, you re-roll later to Venthyr. Can your other characters on your account use that cloth Kyrian set once you
I'd
switch
imagine.
covenants?
I'd imagine
And
so.
the mounts too. I would imagine the mounts
Yeah, I feel
stay.
like once
So-
you get the thing, then I think
It should be unlocked, right?
Yeah.
it should just permanently be unlocked.
So I thought, and maybe this has changed, but I thought I remembered when they were originally announced the expansion. Essentially, once you got so far in with your main covenant, you would have the ability to go help the other ones out to unlock the cosmetic rewards as well.
That is
Okay.
something that was talked about.
But I don't know if that's in or if it's going to
No.
come in later or something like that, or if they just scratch that whole system.
I think it's going to be something to where it's like the last patch before the next expansion kind of deal. Like I don't see that being a prevalent thing because I think what we're gonna see in this expansion, and shoot me if I'm wrong, you're gonna see the Venthyr raid or the Revendreth raid. You're gonna see like a Night Fae raid. You're gonna see a Bastion raid, and then it's gonna kind of culminate with the Maul, to where everything's kind of working together. Or Maldraxxus, so like you're gonna have 4 tiers of raids in between everything, and then the last patch is gonna be your raiding against the Maul as a unified Shadowlands. Basically,
Are we looking at a 5-tier raid expansion?
it may not be 5 tiers, it may be 4, with one of the tiers being kind of split to where you're having kind of like a Bastion of Twilight, Blackwing Descent kind of thing.
I was gonna say, like for BFA,
Okay.
we got a 5-tier.
Yeah, or
Crucible.
I kind of say that's more like 4.5 because
right, but I mean,
two boss raid.
If you
but
still did it, like if you had like a half tier raid in between, like say like the Maldraxxus one, we have a full tier. Ardenweald, we have a full tier, but Bastion, we have like a half tier to where you go in and you kill 2 bosses. You would then still.
I mean, true, because you've seen that in the past. Because you had what was the one from Legion where Helya was? That was the short one, and only had like 3 bosses in it. So
yeah, Trial of Valor. Or
I would
whatever.
say you're definitely gonna get a Maldraxxus raid, just because they're basically like the army faction, the army covenant, and just with how everything's going, you are right in the sense, Steve, that it's basically set up. Like we're there now. They know that the machine is broken. The death wheel, so to speak, is not balanced. And so you have within each covenant, you have is basically split in half with people that are siding with the jailer, and then people that are banding together to kind of fix the broken system. And that's where we come in. We help them do that. And a lot of the covenant quests are actually going and helping other covenants right now. So I definitely think they're going to have that.
Well, so we already have the Venthyr. They data mined. I don't know if you guys saw. They data mined on Wowhead that there's a Ardenweald raid items that aren't named.
I think those are tied possibly to the weapon T-Mogs from the weapon drops of the raid.
It's possible, yeah. But if so, then yeah, assuming we get like the 4 tiers and then the big raid at the end or whatever, then
Obviously, the big raid at the end is going to be the mall. It's going to be Torghast, right?
Yeah, I would think it's just going to depend who the big bads are that side with the jailer. We don't know yet 100%. We know that there's somebody in Maldraxxus. We know already the first raid we're going to deal with that guy from Revenant.
I was going to say, so I almost wonder if it's going to be something along the lines of you don't actually kill the final boss of these raids, and then you basically fight them in their full unleashed power that was granted to them by the jailer in the mall type thing, as like a couple bosses.
Well, yeah, that kind of raises a really, really interesting question, because what happens when a designant of the Shadowlands dies, right?
True.
And I mean, that was kind of Revendreth's whole deal, is if you're unsalvageable after repenting, you go straight to the mall. Well, if you die in the Shadowlands, you go back to Oribos, be rejudged. And if they're like, hey, by the way, you've been a bad boy, I mean, guess where they're getting thrown to? And there's a chance we could see, like you're saying, all of these bosses or all of these people again.
So, I mean, that makes sense. So maybe you do kill the final boss, and it's not one of those things to where, like, it necessarily, you don't kill them, but it carries over, but you kill them, they get rejudged, and then you get whatever happens to them once they end up in the mall.
Correct. It's possible.
Could be.
Which could be pretty cool. And obviously not every boss, because you don't want to repeat every boss, but like the big main ones, whoever sides with the jailer, because I'm assuming you're going to have at least one in every area that's going to be kind of on the jailer's side of everything.
Yeah.
Or at least somewhat corrupted.
I'm not sure who that would be on the Night Fae, and I'm not sure who that would be in Kyrian. I'm not sure.
I almost get the feeling for Kyrian, maybe it wouldn't be like a raid boss, but the one that was with Uther in the Afterlives.
I could see that being a tiny raid, like a couple boss raid.
You got that big Archon lady for Kyrian, right? I don't know if she's good or bad.
Uther's lady, Devos.
No, like the big one.
Oh, you're right. The one that she talks to in the cutscene, and she's like, "Don't speak about this anymore." Yeah, I don't know either, to be honest.
I mean, here's the thing: we very well could see it be Devos and Uther being a two boss, right?
Boss raid, yeah, small raid.
I mean, Devos at the moment, I believe we fight and possibly kill in Spires of Ascension.
You fight her and defeat her. I'm not sure you.
I don't think you kill her though.
Things where.
Right, so that's what I'm saying.
She's dead, obviously, but I don't think she is.
We're going to have to deal with Uther. We're going to have to deal with Devos. Yep. Those would be people that I would see putting into a raid. I don't think you would kill Uther. I think you would set Uther back on the path. Same thing, and you may banish Devos to wherever simply because the Archon does it. You know, like the Archon sends us in to kill Devos because Devos is still running amok. And
so, I mean, let's look at it this way. Revendreth, Castle Nathria, you have Kilthas that you're helping in the raid, right?
Yep.
That you're helping restore.
Well, we have Kilthas and we have Garrosh now that we know is there.
So, is Garrosh anywhere in the raid though?
No.
Let him get milked, Steve. Okay.
So I'm just looking at it. So I'm looking at people that could possibly turn and then help you later in the expansion once everything goes down in the mall. So Kilthas from Nathria. Possibly Uther, you help him, you set him back on the path, and then he comes and helps you in the mall with the final raid. Like, I'm always thinking back to like ICC. ICC was such an epic raid. You had all the NPCs that were, you know, kind of all coming together, whether it was the people from the Alliance, the people from the Horde. It was all kind of this one big thing at the end. So
starts and ends with Arthas? Is that what you're getting at?
It could. It very well could.
The only way to restore the Lich King is to restore the original Lich King back on the throne?
Oh, God.
Maybe?
I'm gonna go jump out of my window now.
We've got that plus the Garrosh redemption arc. It's gonna be a great expansion.
I mean, that's the
there
thing
will
is
be no Garrosh redemption arc.
There may be.
No.
A little
He did
Sylvanas
nothing
redemption
wrong,
in
dude.
there too.
Hey,
Man, I keep forgetting
my
about
stance
her.
on
Like,
she's a hero.
like I keep forgetting about her. Everything that's going on in this expansion, like, I keep forgetting Sylvanas is still there.
She's there. She's fighting for our freedom and our survival.
Like,
The other one that we're not even talking about is like you've got someone from this expansion still missing with Azara, right? Like Azara has poofed, and we don't know where Azara went.
and what was that line at the end of the fight? She was going to find the true throne of power or something along that line.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, dude. There's a
Varian,
lot
I
of
don't think
weird
we've heard
shit.
about him yet either. Varian,
Yeah.
Anduin, we got that cutscene possibly.
We would know Varian's in the mall based on timing.
Well,
No,
I'm
no, he would have to be somewhere else.
I don't think they've mentioned anything other than he's there somewhere.
no, Varian would be in the mall.
No, he wouldn't. If Ursoc went to Ardenweald,
Correct.
Varian died before Ursoc.
Yes.
Oh
So-
yeah, true.
And we know that Vol'jin ends up in Ardenweald too, and Vol'jin basically died around the same time Varian did. So Varian
True,
is
because they both
somewhere.
died out at the Broken Shore.
Well, Vol'jin died shortly after, but he got wounded at
Wounded at Broken Shore, yeah.
Yeah, by a trash mob.
So where would you place Varian at Covenant wise?
Maldraxxus.
Yes, because they want warriors.
I mean that makes sense.
Like
Yeah,
badass
that would make
warriors.
sense.
He is 100% Maldraxxus. Like
Hmm.
he wasn't selfless. He wasn't an evil fucker.
Right.
So that kind of counts out Kyrian and Revendreth or Venthir. And he's not
Ardenweald doesn't
wild
make sense.
god. He's not a spirit of nature. He's not some big heavy
And
deity.
he is a wolf.
He is literally, I'm going to punch you and keep punching you and punch you some more.
Yeah, he's Maldraxxus.
He is
100%.
Maldraxxus.
Yeah. Okay. So excited to see him at some point in the expansion, I'd assume.
I'm excited to see if Anduin gets to see him. Little reunion there. That'd
Ooh,
be
I mean,
that would
what
be
if the
good.
reason we haven't seen him yet is because he was part of one of the houses that fell that we saw? I
True.
mean, we saw the House of Eyes fall and then the House of Plagues fall.
I mean, it's
think.
possible, but I don't think they'd like kill him that way. You know,
I don't think
they'd
they'd
play
kill
that
him,
card.
but I'd imagine that they're just scattered, and then you're
What
gonna
if
find
he's the
him
one
later.
who saves Anduin from
Very well could be.
Jailer at the
Could
end
be.
there? That'd be cool.
So, all right. So, any other? I mean, before we do like closing thoughts and stuff, I want to kind of open it up to like viewer Q&A on anything. If anybody has anything for a couple minutes.
If you're asking to play Melee, I'm gonna ignore your question entirely.
Fair enough.
How is that? Like I feel like it's gone back and forth. Like every other week it seems different. Like maybe you guys know a little bit more with testing this week. Like melee friendliness in the raid.
There's not much of it in
So
keys.
bad.
There's not much of it in keys. I'll tell you that.
Really?
Yeah, no.
It's kind of funny like how the balance goes back and forth between like all melee and keys and then like not at all.
Right.
I'll be honest. Today's raid didn't look too friendly for ranged that have to cast. So to be fair to melee, yeah, maybe you'll have some okay fights.
Yeah. True.
Everybody's too big of pussies to type in chat right now. So.
Whoa.
Fix it in post. Just fix it in post. Mute it out. It's fine.
Mute Steve, quick.
Mute Steve. Put me in mute. No,
Where's James's camera?
That's actually a live feed. Hello?
live feed, dude. That's inside of his brain right now.
So you're just chilling over in Silithus by the
Dude,
sword?
someone's
How's it
got to
going there?
fucking take the sword out of the earth, man. Y'all forgot it. And you went to Shadowlands. Just left the
Hey,
sword
dude,
in
kind
the
of-
earth here.
I'm
We
kind of
dragged our
surprised they
power
didn't
to
do
that.
anything. They didn't do anything with
All right,
that.
we got a question. Who is the next class do we think that's going to be axed?
Wait, who do you? Where I don't understand the question.
As a nerf?
Guessing who's going to be the one that gets
Who,
the nerf?
who's gonna get the
Oh,
nerf
that's
bat
easy.
next?
Sub rogue.
Really?
Oh, dude, they're
Are-
so
I think
good.
I think you're a little biased here, James. I think there's one that you're forgetting that you and I both know on an immediate level needs to be tuned down.
Which one?
Frost
Don't
Mage,
say it.
James.
Don't say
Frost
it.
Mage?
Put it out there. No, it's fine.
gonna
Nobody
hear-
plays
you're gonna
Frost.
hear-
James, you can't
Frost is
hide it, my
perfectly
man.
balanced.
No, it's not, and you fucking know it.
Look, we're target
Uh,
capped. Like we have to
Whatever.
hard cast frost bolts.
Let me just do 20k AoE on 5 mobs. It's fine, dude. Right? Perfectly balanced.
I mean, look, Locke got it. It's coming. Mage is coming.
I don't know. There weren't many mages testing today. Maybe we'll fly
There's-
under the radar. That's what I'm hoping.
There was
We actually
no
got a
Mage's
buff this
Tower.
week. Actually, mages got a buff to the Kyrian
Yeah.
Covenant
Yeah,
damage, which
true.
we already used. So
I've heard fire is really bad now. Is arcane
Uh,
also terrible?
I did a run with an arcane mage and I played Frost.
Yeah.
And they have really, really good burst AoE. And they're great when they have arcane power going, and then when they're waiting on cooldown, they kind of don't do as much.
Similar to a fire mage, they just do nothing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the only difference
Maybe
is they
not as
actually
bad.
run out of mana and have to drink and stuff.
Evocate timings. are-
What?
Yeah.
What spec, Bo? Are you talking Prot?
Oh, I have a comment on this actually.
Because Prot Warrior needs some work.
So does Boomkin.
So here's the thing. Fury is good. Arms is in an okay spot. I think it could use a little bit of love. Prot needs a ton of love.
Prot needs a lot. Prot is
But
really bad right now.
when it comes to Covenant changes across the board for Warrior 2, Banner is such a cool thing. I would like to see them work with Banner and make Banner stronger. Because right now Banner is just simply not picked because Condemn is stronger and the Spear is stronger or the Shockwave stronger, whatever it is. And Banner just has no utility. So I think Banner needs some work. If Banner got some work, you would see Banner used a lot more often.
And remember, Fury is one of those that keeps scaling up and gets better as the expansion goes. They've
Yeah,
never really
true.
been a powerhouse on the first raid.
Yeah, plus I think Arms with the recent buff to the Colossal Smash, Deep Wound, Sweeping Strikes, that whole thing, I think that's going to help Arms a decent amount, however that plays. But again, Fury's fine. I think Arms could use a little bit of work, but I think Prot needs a lot of work because Prot is still bottom of
Yeah,
the barrel
Prot
for raid.
Prot is even
Unless
Mythic
there's-
Plus right now. Like Prot's really
Unless there's
struggling
something-
across the board.
You can cheese with Spell Reflect. That would be the one thing I would
That's-
see maybe Prot.
That's about all they have
That-
going for
well,
him at
that's
the
the thing.
moment.
Is that has been something that Naga has brought up, is he's specifically leveling a Prot Warrior for one
Mhm.
specific fight, and he's gearing it literally for that one specific fight because the Spell Reflect, and that's
Yep,
it.
I feel like you have to have one ready. Like for the raid team I'm talking about. Like
Yeah.
if you're considering pushing Mythic quickly, yeah, you might want to have one ready to go.
Yep.
So
What else we got?
Frizz asked if he can play Rogue. That's easy. No.
Sorry, the melee spots are now closed.
What was Shadow not good
Uh,
enough for you, Frizz? Is that not OP enough for you?
Going on and on about Shadow. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
all right, doesn't look like anything else. So we'll do our little wrap ups here. Oh god, I don't want to change scenes because I'm
It's gonna
scared
fuck
it's
up.
gonna be absolutely
Just
scuffed.
leave
Fuck up. Just do it. Just do it. Bite the bullet and do it. This is
All
what
right.
these tests are for.
All right.
Skip your question,
All right.
Boet. What
Let's
did we
see.
skip?
There wasn't a question from Bo.
Oh,
Wait,
about
what?
your DK. Is your DK good in raid? Yeah.
Yeah, your DK 's
Anti-magic
fine.
zone, dude.
AMZ,
Yeah.
you're useful.
Hell useful.
I'm biased because I like Frost. I wanna see Frost.
Oh, I mean, if you're playing
I'm okay.
Frost or Unholy, Frost, I want to say is like un-AoE capped kind of, but
Frost pumps
Yeah,
some
with the
keys
Death's
right
Due.
now too.
Yeah.
I mean,
Frost
with
has
it-
really good DPS.
yeah, well, that's the other thing is the change to Death 2. I think Frost is going to be looking a little bit better than everything else, but I don't know.
Have to play it and find out. All you need is a beta key.
Yeah, just get a beta key, forehead.
Easy, dude. Just win a beta key.
I mean, or, you know, or,
Go do it.
hey, we only have a month till open beta comes out for everyone anyway,
Yeah.
so.
We're all gonna get to play beta. Don't worry.
You get a beta, and you get a beta, and you get a beta. You just had to pay for this
It's
beta.
a pay.
All right, let's
Scene
let's
shifted.
do
Let's do it.
our,
Let's
our
break it.
wrap ups. We'll start with Mike.
Break it, break it, break
Wait,
it.
I'm waiting to see.
Did it break?
Oh, it's fucked. Oh, it's
no.
it's
Oh,
God,
yeah.
it's mega porked.
It's his
It's
room.
it's mega porked.
Quick,
I
lean,
don't see it
lean,
yet.
Mike, lean over there. Put your
Lean?
head in the box. Lean.
Lean your head
Where
to
am
the
I?
right.
Am I going over here?
Yep, right
To the
there.
right.
Right there. You're good.
Oh,
You're
oh,
good.
it just switched for me. Okay, I see it now. Hey, what am I wrapping up?
Closing
Just
thoughts?
like closing thoughts, where people can find you, social media, what you're doing right now, stream wise, that type of
okay.
stuff.
Am I still leaning? Oh wait, no, you
No,
fixed it.
you're
Okay.
good. I semi fixed it.
Dude. Okay, everything's creation to face except for Twitter, which is creation to face because you know, someone stole my name. It was very sad. Maybe you know, like give paladins a little love. I'd like to see that. I
Fuck
haven't
off.
seen, dude. I haven't
Fuck
seen a
off.
single thing like all these different covenants and whatnot. Like they got all their changes. Paladin gets no love, man. Paladin gets no love. I saw this is a whole nother conversation, but Savix. I don't know if you guys saw that arena video, but
I think I
they-
watched
they-
the Asmongold reacts to it.
yeah, they seem to be pumping in arena. Ret Pally.
Is he back to Ret now?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Good for him. Okay.
You're literally asking for buffs for the class that is currently doing more damage than a Windwalker and more healing than anyone else. Please change the screen off of this man. Move him out of here and go to the next person.
Okay, on to the next scuffed outro, Steve.
I want to see if it's fixed or not and where. I
Oh
need to
no,
lean.
it is fucking scuffed.
Nice.
Steve, you're
Dude.
gonna
I'm
have
gonna
to
just
lean too.
up here. Gozerian on everything. I'm not streaming until pre-patch because I fucking refuse to stream content or anything at all. Yeah, I can't even play WoW right now because there's nothing to do. So I've got nothing to stream. So I'm probably going to be sitting in Mike's chat bothering him or Boet's chat bothering him, whichever one at the time works. I'm super zoomed in. Can you crop me and zoom me out a little bit, maybe, to where they're not staring directly at my nostrils?
Just zoom in more. Zoom in more.
All right,
Go
move it
first,
on.
man.
All right, the third scuffed outro of the night, Ranger.
Make sure you get my good side, okay?
Oh look, his isn't scuffed.
Oh my
You're
god.
fucking kidding. Fuck off with this. I'm done.
There you
I-
go.
Um,
Hey world, it's Ranger. You can find me at Twitter at the Ranger44. I don't really tweet though. You can come give me a follow on Twitch, Ranger44. I don't stream.
He
though.
doesn't stream either.
I was gonna say it in my intro, but I kind of didn't get to because I mentioned beta. But I just miss raiding, man. I miss the raid team. It's only been a week, and I'm bored as fuck. I miss everybody. I just want to raid again.
Can we talk about how you're the GM of the guild and somehow your panel ended up correct, but everyone else's panel is wrong,
mean,
James?
we
I think
worked
there's
on
some
it
bias
hard.
here.
It's because his isn't coming through Discord. That's
We've
why.
also got the nice Aspire logo on the tabard there. Just putting that
Ooh.
out there.
I think the $1 million question, James, is when camera question mark.
When camera? Should I set like a goal for our thing to reach, maybe, and then I'll get a camera?
Views and
view
likes
goal.
on the YouTube
Yeah.
video, maybe.
Yeah, maybe like 200 views, and I'll get a camera.
Oh, I will spam the shit out of that refresh button. You believe
You
it?
can't be like Crown. You can't view bot. Oops.
Oh, well, okay, moving on. All right, final scuffed outro of the night. Yeah.
Wrap this up. You got 3 days to wrap this up because we got a 72-hour coming here in a minute.
Oh, Cody's scuffed.
All right, so yeah, I'm scuffed. Hey, I'm Cody or CK. So yeah, you can find me here where you're watching this. Twitch.tv/CKCardiac.
Wait. Why do you have 2 Twitter things
What?
on
Huh?
your
I
fucking
don't
thing?
have 2 Twitter things. No.
No, he's got an Insta.
I have Instagram
Oh my
up here,
God.
Twitter down here, and YouTube
He's an
over here.
Instagram model for Christ's
So,
sakes.
so you guys can just follow me on social. I gotta start posting more everywhere about things. Work is settling down, so I'm gonna be actually posting like a stream schedule here soon and start getting on more of an upload schedule for YouTube as well. So yeah, we'll be doing some variety stuff up until WoW, and then once pre-patch and stuff hits, all WoW. Yeah, my Discord links is broken.
Hey Cody, remember when
Hey,
I told you to
hey,
make a
hey,
screen
hey.
that had the new Discord for the podcast thing on it? Did
Mhm.
you happen to make that, or did you ignore what I said?
Nope. Absolutely, totally ignored what you said. By the way,
hate
we
you so fucking much right now.
we have a look. It didn't scuff this time. So yeah, Mike just posted that in chat. So that is our Discord for the actual podcast that we made. So you guys go feel free to join that. We have like a Q&A, or we have a couple channels. We have like a Q&A channel where you can post like questions and stuff there throughout the week. So we can grab some questions from Discord when we do Q&A and grab some from chat each week. And then also like suggestions on how to make things better, and other stuff like that. So yeah. Any final remarks before we end?
Can you listen to me before the start of the next podcast? Say things, you fucking asshole degenerate.
Wow.
I'll think about it.
Nice little toxicity
wow.
to end the night.
Also, the other thing.
Yeah.
Can we have pre-patch, please?
Yeah, pre-patch
Is
win.
pre-patch this week, guys, or next
Probably
week?
not. Like if everything is lining up how people think it's going to be based on the
It's
Chandler
next week.
the Chandler things that came back, it's the 6th of October.
No, they've already debunked that.
Oh,
It's next
really?
week. Yes. It has to be next week. If they do it a week after, they have to push the expansion because there's physically not enough time to earn all the
Yeah, but
currency to buy all
be
the
doing that
stuff.
anyway, right?
When you say next week, you mean in
The
3
se-
days?
3 days, yeah. The next
29th?
reset. Yeah. If they
I don't know.
don't, if they release it on the 6th, you don't unlock the currency in pre-patch until the 13th, meaning you only have 2 weeks to acquire everything before it becomes unattainable again. And there is just simply not enough time with farming all of the dailies and everything else to do that. It has to be 3 weeks.
Pre-patch 10.26, beta 11.26, and Shadowlands 1.5.
Anyway, I think it's I think it's in 3 days. I hope.
Well, we'll hopefully, and then we'll have a lot more new stuff to talk about. Hopefully, more of us get beta this week. We'll keep trying to win some keys, and
Fuck that. I'm
yeah.
done.
So, all right, guys, thanks for hanging out. Thanks for everyone for stopping by.
Bye, everybody.
We will see you all next week. We'll make sure to post what time it's going to be at. But yeah, have a good night, and we will see you guys later.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Hey, Blizzard, can we have keys, please?
Blizzard, keys, please. Please, keys. Please.
Keys,
Blizzard,
please, keys,
Keys.
please, keys.